Welcome back. For the next president to implement their agenda, whatever its ambitions, it will probably be important to have their party in control of the House of Representatives. A small number of races could decide that very question. So I want to bring in some experts on that. Scott MacFarlane and Hunter Woodall. Hunter, you're here with me at the table. You're focused on at least one, maybe more, key races in Pennsylvania. Why?
Well, I mean, Pennsylvania is a fascinating state, right? We know it's a presidential battleground. It's the largest electoral prize, in the presidential.
19 electoral votes.
19 electoral votes, exactly. There's also 3 key congressional races in that state. And one of the ones I'm most interested in is Pennsylvania 10. That's where Republican Scott Perry is running for re-election. And this is somebody, he won by around 7 points in 2022, but the Jan 6 House Committee report called him, I'm reading here, one of Trump's key congressional allies in the effort to overturn the 2020 election results. He's got a lot of pushback for that, and he now has an opponent who's really running against, both, Perry's record on abortion, but also Perry's record on trying to overturn those election results and his role on January 6th and objecting to those results. And that's a key factor in a race that really could decide control of the House.
You mentioned other Pennsylvania races. Any others that you are looking at?
Well, there's also, this is where Democrats are also on the defensive. They have Pennsylvania 7, they have Pennsylvania 9. These are 2 seats held by Democrats. And this is a tough thing because Pennsylvania is always a close state in presidential races. It was close when Donald Trump won it in 2016. It was close when Joe Biden won it in 2020. So there's 2 Democrats. There's Susan Wild in the 7th Congressional District, Matt Cartwright in the 9th Congressional District. Democrats need to hold on to both those seats, really, if they want to, not only retake the House, but even keep the current numbers they have. And for Democrats to do that, they have to hope they kind of can create some separation in the presidential race because you see Donald Trump and Donald Trump and Vice President Harris are spending so much time focusing on Pennsylvania, it's tough to create distance from either.
So the parties need to hold and expand. Scott, you're looking at New York for that very principle. What's going on there?
Oh, I'll meet you halfway. I'm looking at northern New York. How do you like that, Major?
Very good. So Scott, he always saves me. He always saves me.
It's about a half dozen toss-up or highly competitive battleground races in New York for the U.S. House. Doesn't seem like a lot, but it's an awful lot because there are only roughly 30 nationwide. So if there's 5 or 6 of them in New York, the balance of power in the U.S. House could swing with New York alone. Let's start north. It goes all the way from Syracuse, New York, down through the very inner New York City suburbs of Westchester and Rockland counties. Pretty much everything in between either is or is contiguous to a battleground House race. Now, how is that possible in such a blue state like New York? You'll recall, after the last presidential election, under court order, the lines were redrawn and nobody was satisfied. They've made all of these uniquely competitive districts that hug the Hudson River. And these districts, Major, have drawn combined millions of dollars in each race, in part because they're competitive, because the stakes are so high, Major. I mean, control of the House could derail or supercharge a Trump or Harris presidency, but also because these races are so expensive. Try to buy an advertisement in New York City. You'll find out it's as expensive as buying a week's worth of ad time in a different part of the country. Look at that race right there. New York's 4th District. Anthony D'Esposito is a first-term Republican. He beat Laura Gillen narrowly in 2022. They'll give it another go. If you go to New York's 17th, 18th, and 19th districts, you'll also find newcomers. There's another first-term Republican, Mike Lawler. He won in a wave in 2022, trying to beat former Congressman Mondaire Jones. Go to 19. That's Cooperstown, the Baseball Hall of Fame, Binghamton, Woodstock. New York's 19th district has yet another first-term Republican. This is important, Major, because these first-term Republicans came in with a wave for the party. A wave could wash them out this year the other way.
Because my verbal tick this afternoon happens to be north, let's go north to Connecticut and the 5th District. Scott,
got your back, man. Northwest Connecticut. The 5th District is Danbury and Waterbury. There's a little too distant to be considered New York suburbs. This is another rematch. Johanna Hayes won this seat by less than a point in 2022. A Republican hasn't held the Connecticut 5th since 2004. It's been a minute, but here's the thing. There's really no way of getting around this. Not so much who wins, but the margin here is important because it comes in early, Major. A bellwether of what's to happen next. If she overachieves, good signs for the party. If she underachieves, bad signs for the Democrats.
Scott MacFarlane, we all like the bellwethers. Connecticut, New York, Pennsylvania with Hunter Woodall. We thank you both very much.